In this bulletin, soldiers breaching protocol led to COVID outbreak. Fiji has dangerous India variant. And are face mask prices going up? And Vinaka, Fiji. We can confirm that protocol breaches among soldiers manning quarantine facilities are the key link to the local transmission of COVID-19. Permanent Secretary Dr. James Fong was infuriated yesterday afternoon with how these soldiers interacted and came into close contact when they should have been practicing safety measure. Military personnel had been mingling while on duty guarding quarantine facilities at the Tanua Hotel in Nadi.
They contracted the virus while in quarantine, very recently from one of their colleagues. That is unacceptable. No unnecessary frivolous contact is worth an extra 2 weeks in quarantine.
The quarantine period for soldiers who breached the protocol have been extended to another 14 days. And Dr. Fong says these bad apples have caused the ministry to reset the clock. Contact tracing for these soldiers could have been a lot easier if they had the Care Fiji app on their mobile phones.
And this is why I'm trying to tell you today, the contact tracing is only as good as the history I got, because no Care Fiji Care app is up and on. If the app was on, if that fella had the app on, the soldier had the app on, and he had the app on, I would have picked him up long ago.
It has also been confirmed that the military is taking action against all the soldiers involved in breaches of protocol. Local transmission of COVID-19 have been confirmed as the dangerous variant first detected in India. The Health Ministry had already suspected that this was the case when Case 73, the soldier in quarantine, was infected by travelers from India. Lina Rees reports that while the results from Australia confirm a new variant, there are also 6 new COVID-19 cases as of yesterday.
The variant transmitting in Fiji is one of several dangerous strains causing havoc in India and many developed countries around the world.
We cannot let that nightmare happen in Fiji. And we still have time to stop it from happening. But a single misstep will bring about the same COVID tsunami that our friends in India, Brazil, South Africa, the United Kingdom and United States are enduring.
Since yesterday, 6 more positive cases have been confirmed, all in quarantine.
4 of the 6 new cases came from soldiers recently returning from overseas duties, some of who had been fraternizing amongst each other during their 14-day quarantine in the border quarantine facility against the rules that we had set in place.
The remaining 2 are family members of the lady from Cunningham, and they tested positive while in the isolation facility.
The 6 new COVID-19 patients, all of whom are in quarantine or isolation, brings Fiji's total to 109 confirmed cases since March 19, 2020. Lina Rees, FBC News.
If the COVID-19 outbreak continues, the Fijian economy, including more jobs, will be further affected. Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, says people will be in for a hard time if we do not stop the spread in the next 2 weeks.
My message to every Fijian is this. Now is not the time to go looking for loopholes. If we don't win this fight over the next 2 weeks, and this outbreak gets out of control, the prospect of job, micro, small and medium enterprises, entire industries and our economy as a whole will fall into more and more dire straits.
The Health Ministry has found that Fijians are trying to access a pass to get through border checkpoints. Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, says he's received requests for a checklist from the public. Dr. Fong says this includes businesses trying to find loopholes that will allow them to operate even if they are not an essential service.
We got hardware shops producing masks. Where did they get the machine from? Now we got how many other manufacturers producing hand sanitizers? Where did that come from? So you see what I'm getting at? This is the problem when we try to make everything mandatory and everybody say, oh no, you have to write it in the law. When you write it in the law, we forget the spirit of what we're trying to do. We forget the medical agenda, we all try to bypass the law some way or the other.
Fijians in Lambasa have stepped up safety measures for COVID-19 despite the Northern Division not recording any confirmed cases. The Lambasa Town Council is impressed with businesses adhering to the protocols set out by the Ministry of Health. Eleanor Turangevi reports.
Lambasa Town is taking significant precautions over the COVID-19 pandemic, with businesses implementing strict protocols.
Very happy with the way the retailers are following instructions at the moment.
Shops and supermarkets are practicing safe distancing and ensuring customers' names and contacts are listed if they do not have the Care Fiji app.
Precaution is better than nothing. As for this disease, you have to take precaution at all times.
They've taken responsibility and they're being very careful.
Bus drivers, taxi drivers, private vehicle drivers and members of the public out in town today were wearing face masks, even in beauty parlors and barber shops.
I'm wearing this mask for protecting myself and my customer and my family.
I'm wearing a mask because to prevent to catch the COVID-19 disease.
We are following health protocols laid out by the government so we can stay safe from the virus.
At least half of the population on the street wearing masks. I think that there could be more of them doing that.
The general public is reminded that adhering to the COVID-19 protocols is essential in keeping the Northern Division COVID-free. Eleanor Turangevi, FBC News.
Fijians are frustrated with several businesses hiking the prices of face masks in the midst of a health crisis. Many believe that these businesses are taking advantage of the situation by ripping people off and exploiting their vulnerability. The Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission says businesses cheating the system will receive penalties.
Not only are we looking at pharmacies, but we're going upstream on the supply chain to see who is trying to exploit the system. And I can assure the people of Fiji is whoever is exploiting the vulnerability of Fijians at this time, they will be taken to task.
Up ahead, archers hold on to Olympic hope. And mental fitness a worry for Nadi football. Welcome back. Local Olympic hopefuls have once again been pushed to the curb as the COVID-19 pandemic forces the cancellation of qualifying tournaments. 5 hopefuls are today left to wonder the fate of their qualification to the Tokyo Games. Talima Terrakula reports.
Long-range shooting is one event these archers will be deprived of.
Physical fitness, sort of getting a volume of arrows out each day at close distance at home. Since we're not able to access the range as it's closed, and just focusing on mental training.
Mental training will be vital, having faced a similar situation last year.
We're in constant communication with each other, discussing physical routines, the shooting every day, and practice rounds, and we try to keep each other motivated.
Even if the Olympic qualifiers does not commence as planned, local archers have a slight chance.
What happens if we don't get the minimum score and no one goes to Australia, then our scores and everything will go to the World Archery Australia, and then they'll decide from there which country gets the spot.
3 rounds of the Olympic qualifying events are left, with 2 scheduled for next month and the last round in June. Talima Terrakula, FBC Sports.
The Nadi Football Association has raised concerns over the players' mental fitness during this period. President Ashwin Singh says questions loom on where the interest of the players lay, especially as they are encouraged to do individual training. He says this is coupled with the fact that most of the players are yet to receive their wages.
Mostly our players not working there on weekly wages. Someone's getting $150 a week. So at the moment, we didn't paying the players. I know they are physically not that, the mind will be not set.
Super Rugby senior team has had to quickly adapt to a new training program following the suspension of the Skipper Cup competition. It's the job for coaches and managers having to send out training programs for each player, and for the Super team this is not new. Benina Rakautonga files this report.
Training must continue but under strict conditions.
But if their houses or homes are closer to a training ground, like in Raiwanga, Raiwai, or areas, then they can do that. But we tell them to do all their programs in their own home compound.
Manager Nemani Tuifangalele says it's difficult for the players to train individually.
Now that they have to train individually at their own home, at their own pace, and it's just difficult to come together as a community of players to try and train. So hopefully, the suspension is lifted, and then we can come back, because it's just difficult to actually train as an individual.
Fiji Rugby Chief Executive John O'Connor says the dates for the skipper resumption will be moved back a week after the green light to give teams ample time to prepare.
We will confirm new start dates once the government gives all clearance.
It is not clear when things will return to normalcy. All players in the skipper competition are continuing with individual training. Benina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Some showers and few thunderstorms, moderate to fresh east to northerly winds. That's FBC Morning News. Join us at 7 p.m. for a major bulletin. For news you can trust, get the facts from FBC's TV, radio and digital news at fbcnews.com.fj. Take care and good morning.